Welcome back, guys, to episode 2 of the Hoopers Lounge podcast with myself and Alex. And before we get this episode started, I just wanted to take this time to introduce myself a little bit more. I'm a junior at Clemson University, marketing major with a sports communication minor. And I know for myself, I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while now. And when Alex brought me the idea, I was really excited to do that.
Yeah. What's up, y'all? I'm Alex. I'm a rising sophomore at Penn State University. I'm majoring in sports journalism. My ultimate dream is to be a play-by-play commentator, but I'll do really anything as long as it's in the sports industry. It's been what I love my entire life. I've known Max since we were in middle school. We met in 6th grade. Then we instantly clicked over basketball. He's one of the biggest NBA fans I know. And we may have some personal biases in here. I'm a Bucks fan. He's a Warriors fan, but I feel like our love for basketball supersedes any fandom that we might have.
I agree.
All right. And now with our introductions out of the way, let's get into what we're discussing for the day. We're going to open this podcast up by discussing probably what's been the biggest news in the past couple of days: Jaylen Brown receiving the richest contract in NBA history. So that is pretty big news. Definitely resets the market for now on. Instantly when I thought about this, or when this news came out, what I thought about is in 2016, that salary cap spiked off season, where the richest contract in NBA history was handed out that season. It wasn't a superstar. At the time, this guy wasn't even an all-star. It was Mike Conley who received the richest contract in NBA history. It was, if I remember correctly, it was like 5 years, $150 million, something like that. And we all thought that was crazy numbers at the time. Now we got this contract that Jaylen Brown just received. Again, he's a great player, borderline superstar, but he's by no means a top 10 player in the NBA. So
yeah,
it was pretty surprising for me to see the Celtics bite the bullet on this one and offer someone who's not a consensus superstar the richest contract the NBA's ever seen.
Yeah, so I have the details right here. It's a 5-year, $304 million supermax, and that's all because he made the All-NBA, I don't know, first team, second team, third team, whatever. He made All-NBA. So it makes me think of, like, all the guys that now make All-NBA, are they worth Jaylen Brown money? To me, no, but Jaylen Brown also isn't worth Jaylen Brown money. So it's interesting to see how this affects Boston's salary cap this season, because when they have to pay Jason Tatum, that's going to – I mean, I don't know who else they're going to have on the team other than those two guys.
Mm. Yeah, Tatum is probably going to ask for more money than Brown got, because I think everyone follows the NBA can agree that Tatum is a better overall player than Jaylen Brown. And paying those two players is just going to cap strike the Celtics for years, the next half decade. You're going to be paying Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum half of their contract. They're going to have to be living on minimum value vet deals. And this is the core that the Celtics are going to rock with. They've officially committed to it by locking down Brown. We all assume they're going to lock up Tatum. So this is the core that Celtics are going to do or die with. You know, they either go out and win a championship and are power in the East, or it's just 5 years of disappointment for Celtics fans.
Yeah, your do or die analogy is really good, I think, because also this makes Jaylen Brown significantly harder to trade if they go down that route, because not a lot of teams are able to pay this much money to one player if they have other stars or if they have a well-constructed team around them. This makes Jaylen Brown a Celtic.
Great point.
For the duration of this contract, and his trade value just went significantly lower with this huge price on his head.
Yeah, but Jaylen Brown's been talked about in trade talks for years for other superstars around the league. He's a great piece. This guy's a young player, a rising star, and he has great. He still might have some untapped potential that he hasn't even hit yet. So he was a valuable trade piece. But yeah, like you said, that was a great point. With its new contract, with it being the richest in NBA history, with the teams not being able to afford that big of a contract for a singular player, Celtics are stuck with Brown for better or for worse.
Yeah, and
it is going to be interesting to see how it happens in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I don't know when they have to pay Tatum. I don't know if he's still on his rookie deal or not. I feel like he's not. I feel like he got a payday recently, but he deserves more money than Jaylen Brown. That's all I'll say.
He's already made more All NBA teams than Jaylen Brown.
Yeah,
he's been a more consistent performer throughout his career. He isn't the one that had 9 turnovers in the game 7 against the Heat.
No, he also has a left hand, so that's good. Jaylen Brown.
Oh, not according to Grant Williams.
Well, yeah, true. But there's a viral clip of Jaylen Brown working out this offseason, and he's like dribbling like anybody else would with their left hand. It looks so funny. Yeah.
Jaylen Brown just one of us with extreme athleticism.
Yeah, I mean, but he got paid, so shout out to his agent too. I don't know how he. I don't know how he finessed that deal, but he did.
Richest contract in NBA history.
It just feels weird for the second best player on a team to be the highest paid player ever. That just doesn't feel right.
And a player that's made what, 2 All-Star games?
If that,
one All-NBA team?
He hasn't even made All-Star starter yet. He's only been on the reserves, I think. So
yeah, that's why it reminded me so much of the Mike Conley deal back then, because Mike Conley at the time was a borderline All-Star who got paid like a generational superstar.
I will say Jaylen Brown is better than Mike Conley. So,
I agree with that. I'm not saying Jaylen Brown is definitely much better than Mike Conley, but at the time, that deal kind of handicapped the Grizzlies. They couldn't really build off the core that they had going on because so much of their cap was in Mike Conley. That's when they ended up having to rebuild, ending the grit and grind era and beginning the John Morant era.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
I think the Celtics are trying to avoid that possibility. They definitely, that's not what they wanted with the Jaylen Brown deal. They definitely want to contend and win championships, but if it doesn't go well, they have a blueprint to follow.
Yeah, and they've proven with these two that they can compete for championships, but they just dug themselves in a hole. If this doesn't work, they're in deep, deep trouble.
I agree.
Yeah, okay, so with the Jaylen Brown contract being one of the most current events, I just wanted to run through a couple more that we wrote down. So over the last couple of days, LeBron, his son was in the hospital for cardiac arrest, so we wish Bronny the best for that. But also in LA, they announced that his jersey will be retired once he ultimately retires. I think that's kind of odd, seeing as that he hasn't been with LA for that long. And also he's worn 2 different numbers for LA, so I wonder which one they'll retire. Because for Kobe, they retired both. But I don't know if they'll do that for LeBron.
Kobe was with the Lakers his entire career. That's why I got them retired. LeBron is going to get one of his numbers retired, and I do agree with it because he did get them a ring. He got them their first ring since Kobe. And I feel like any player gets a team a ring, that player deserves to have their jersey retired, because that's at the end of the day, that's the goal of every team.
Yeah,
if you achieve that goal, you deserve immortality in that franchise.
He also broke the all-time scoring record in an LA jersey too, so I think that had something to do with it. But he won the title with 23, and he broke the record with 6. So I just don't know which one they're going to retire. That's all.
Yes, not even mentioning that LeBron's arguably the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
So that's also a very good reason to have his jersey retired.
Another current event is that Derek White is bald, and we don't have to look at his hairline anymore for the entire season. So that's a bonus for everybody.
Of his powers.
And Derek White might be a borderline all-star this season. Bald Derek White's different.
Bald Derek White is going to be different.
Yeah.
He'll be more aerodynamic now that he won't have his hair in the way.
Accurate. And then most recently, MarJon Beauchamp. I have no idea who that is, but he plays for Milwaukee.
Milwaukee Buck.
He scored 83 points in a Pro-Am game this past week. Absolutely spectacular performance.
Hey, I will say that I watched a couple clips. There didn't seem to be much defense being played in that Pro-Am game, but hey, 83 points is 83 points. And it was done by Milwaukee Bucks, so I'm just going to go with that headline and call it a great day.
Does he even get minutes, or is he going to get minutes this season? Probably not.
I think so, because we got rid of Jordan Nwora. We traded him to the Pacers over the trade deadline. So I think Beauchamp is going to get the spot minutes up the bench that Nwora got at the beginning of last season.
Well,
Beauchamp should play a much bigger role. Yeah, after that 83-point performance, I hope we get to see what he does against.
He's clearly capable of putting the ball in the basket, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on to our second segment today, which is mock trades. So there's been a lot of trade talk, especially around Damian Lillard over the past number of weeks. And so we thought we'd make our own mock trades for Damian Lillard and other players around the league as we would do it. So I'll start with one for Damian Lillard. I'll start with mine. I have Damian Lillard being traded to the Philadelphia 76ers for James Harden, Tobias Harris, and 2 first-round picks. Your thoughts?
I actually didn't think of Philly. Philly could be a good fit if they decide to blow up the court. Well, Harden's already requested a trade. He's been linked to the Clippers a lot. I just don't see what's in much for the Trailblazers. The Trailblazers are entering a rebuilding phase, going with their young guards and Scoot, Shaden Sharp, and Anthony Simons. I do think Tobias Harris would be a good addition to that, but they already have a very similar player in Jeremy Grant. So I don't think I don't think they're going to want to get two veteran forwards. They're not going to want James Harden at all. They're going to prioritize the development of their young guards. However,
from my perspective, when I wrote that down, Tobias Harris, good depth player, and Jeremy Grant, with them signing him to all that money, he will be a piece for them, but also he's good trade value come the trade deadline, so Tobias Harris might slide into that role mid-season. And also for James Harden, I think he's a good mentor for Scoot and Shaden, which is why they would want him in the building. It'd just be interesting. I understand with the rotational pieces, it would be interesting, but it gets Dame off their shoulder, and they get an all-star caliber guard back in James Harden.
I don't think the Trailblazers are looking to contend off of this trade. I think they're looking to go into a very quick rebuilding phase because they have very good young talent. They just need one or two more pieces and a couple more first rounders, and I think that's what they're going to prioritize: young pieces rather than two aging veterans who won't be on the team when the current young core hits their prime.
Understandable.
Going off that trade, Dame's been linked to the Heat a lot. So I obviously have my first one as Dame going to the Heat. I have the Heat giving up Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry, Jaime Hawkins Jr., a pick swap in 2027, and then unprotected in 2028 and 2030.
That is a lot.
It is a lot, but Miami... Okay, but you got to look at it this way. Miami just made a finals appearance, just made it to the finals without Tyler Hero. So I feel like it's safe to say that Tyler Hero is expendable. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. And also, you're getting a player in return, the caliber of Damian Lillard, who, in my opinion, would be the best player on the Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Heat's big issue in the playoffs, especially in the finals against Denver, was their inability to just get a bucket. There was a lot of times their offense was stagnant. They had a lot of cold slumps, and Dame would fix that. Dame is someone that you can put the ball in his hands and say, "Go get a bucket," and Dame could do it. Butler could do it occasionally, but he's a great play performer. I'm not a knock against Butler, but he isn't a primary scorer. He's a jack of all trades, but he's not an elite scoring threat in the NBA.
Yeah. And
Dame
also,
would fix that problem for the Heat.
It would take some pressure off Jimmy defensively. I feel like that would unlock his true potential defensively. He'd be able to use so much more energy on that end of the court if he didn't have to do so much of the workload offensively for Miami.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm giving up Hero. Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry didn't... I'm really say he didn't really offer much to the Heat. He's not living up to what the Heat expected they thought when they signed him in free agency.
I would agree with that. He's also old and aging, and he didn't shoot the ball very well in the playoffs, I feel like.
Exactly.
He was very hit or miss.
What you said about James Harden, I feel applies exactly to Kyle Lowry. He would be the ideal mentor for the young guards, Scoot, Shaden, and Simons. And I feel like he'd be a much better mentor than Harden. Lowry won't demand the ball in his hands as much as Harden will. And he's a team first player. Harden has been... I think it's safe to say Harden is not a team first player.
I would say with Philadelphia he has been, but for most of his career, no. He's definitely taken a backseat in recent years to Joel Embiid, and he's made him infinitely better. But for the most part of his career, no. James Harden is usually the best player on the team, the shooter, the ball hog, whatever you want to call him. So Kyle Lowry, I can see he would also demand less minutes, like you said. So
exactly, opening up more minutes for the young guards, and then Jaime Hawkins, that's just the forward. Blazers need forwards. It's basically a first round pick this year, and I don't think the Heat will mind giving that up, as well as a couple distant first round picks in the future for Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I think that's a very solid trade. It's just a lot, and with Miami making the finals with their current roster, are they willing to give up that much for Dame? That's the question that will be.
I mean, they've already lost a couple free agents. They lost Gabe Vincent, and Max Strus didn't resign either, right?
Strus is gone? He's on
the Celtics, I believe, right?
No. Who did he just sign with? That's gonna drive me crazy. I can't remember who he signed with, but he's not on Miami anymore.
Yeah, so they've already lost some pieces. They're clearly trying to get Dame.
I'm actually gonna look. I'm gonna look that up right now.
All right, I'll move on to another Dame trade in the meantime. Here's an interesting one. How would you like to see Dame and Wemby paired together? That would be an very, very interesting duo.
I think it would be a dynamic duo, to say the least.
So I have the Spurs giving up Keldon Johnson and 3 first-rounders unprotected. With Wemby, you have a generational prospect that is arguably the most hyped since LeBron, or like you said last podcast episode, since Zion. But regardless, Wemby is an incredibly hyped prospect. He could very well be the best player in the NBA in 3 years. So the Spurs might be ready to just pull the trigger and say, let's win now. Wemby's development will only be helped by having a superstar around him to show him not only how to act on the court, but off the court. So, and having Dame there, Dame's the ideal role model for Wemby.
I would agree. I think this is... I don't know if it's a better fit than Miami, but I feel like it's... this fit has less, I don't know. This one has less risk if he goes to the Spurs. Because if he goes to Miami and it doesn't work, I feel like that was a big move. But I feel like this is less risky going to a younger team that doesn't have much expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't think Wemby's leaving San Antonio anytime soon.
Probably not. They won't let him leave.
Yeah, and I just think the idea of Dame and Wemby on the court together is tantalizing. You have arguably the best scoring guard in the NBA right now. It's either him or Curry, but a lot of people would give the hand to Dame. With a 7'4" do-it-all forward/center. That is a duo I would love to see. Obviously, unlike the Spurs prefer to keep their first rounders and rebuild, but just imagining them together.
It's the best of both worlds. Awesome. You get literally every single piece of a basketball player you could possibly want in those two. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. And I looked up Max Strus, by the way. He plays for Cleveland now. The Cavs.
Cleveland. Oh.
So, yeah. He'll be a solid pick. Okay, I'm going to go with another one of my mock trades, moving off of Damian Lillard for a minute. Okay, let's go with my trade for DeMar DeRozan. So he currently is with Chicago, but I don't think Chicago wants to win anytime soon, like San Antonio we were just talking about. So I have DeMar DeRozan going to the Los Angeles Lakers for D'Angelo Russell, Cam Reddish, and a late first, early second. I'm really not sure how much DeMar DeRozan's worth right now because he's old, he's aging. But D'Angelo Russell was terrible in the postseason last year. Absolutely unplayable at times for Los Angeles. Cam Reddish is a good young forward, and then the draft pick to top it off. With Lonzo's injury, too, they need a guard. Bad.
They do, but here's the thing. Cam Reddish, they just signed this offseason. Isn't there some restriction that this allows players to be traded after just signing them?
There might be a restriction. I'm really not sure. But if the Lakers can get rid of him in order to acquire DeMar DeRozan, I think they would 100% pull the trigger on that.
I also don't know how DeMar would fit with the current core the Lakers have. LeBron is someone that needs spacing around to be successful. He can't have players cramping the lane for him. And DeMar is not a player who we would say is a threat from the perimeter. Great mid-range, arguably the GOAT mid-range player, but from the perimeter, he's not it. And he also is a player that needs the ball in his hands.
But also, he can create. He could play more of a point guard role for the team, I feel like. I think he would benefit playing with Austin Reeves. Those two would be an intriguing duo. With DeMar on the ball, Austin Reeves off the ball could be a very good duo when LeBron's resting, when Anthony Davis is resting. Because you say DeMar DeRozan isn't like a perimeter player, but it's also not like he camps in the paint and hogs the paint for LeBron. He's an all-star player. If he needs to hit a corner three every once in a while, he'll hit a corner three every once in a while.
Yeah, we've seen multiple game winners, three-pointers at that from DeMar. So, yeah you're right. If he needs to, he's capable.
If LeBron's driving and they're helping out on him, he will make a shot. He's good enough to do that.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to one of my other trades not involving Dame. I have Zach LaVine staying with the Chicago Bulls, and I am going to the Knicks for Emmanuel Quickley and 2 unprotected firsts. The Knicks, after making to the second round, the Knicks are just a team that is prone to jumping to superstars and hoping to win now. It doesn't typically work out, but that's been what the Knicks have done for the past decade, I'll say.
Yes,
so,
yes, yeah.
with the rumors of Zach LaVine on the trade block, I feel like the Knicks are the team that would be most primed to jump after making the second round of the playoffs last year. They have a great core. Jalen Brunson's going to be an all-star next year. Julius Randle is a great second option. And Zach LaVine is another great scorer that the Knicks would, I'm sure, love to have. The issue, if the Knicks pull this trade, will be defense. They don't have Brunson, LaVine, and Randle all net negatives on defense. Robinson's a great defender, but he obviously can't do it all.
Yeah, also with that defensive incapabilities, Zach LaVine will add athleticism, which the Knicks team lacks. I feel like Brunson is not the most athletic. Julius Randle is not the most athletic. So somebody who can, do more acrobatic things, more athletic things, definitely would benefit the Knicks. So yeah, I like that trade a lot, actually.
All right, you got any other trades you want to add?
Yeah, I have one final trade, which is my spicy trade, and that's because it's Spicy P, Pascal Siakam. I have him going to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Aaron Wiggins, Trey Mann, and a first-round pick.
Ooh.
Pascal Siakam would be a fantastic fit with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
You don't think you can get more than that? You don't think the Raptors could get more for Pascal?
I don't think so. I think one first-round pick and a good young player is what he's worth, but I don't think, unless you give up one of the Jaylen Williams, but I feel like you should probably keep one of them off the bench or in your starting rotation. You keep the one
from Santa Clara.
Yeah.
After runner-up rookie of the year performance, you have to keep him.
But I was thinking, imagine the starting lineup of Josh Giddey, Shea, Jalen Williams, Pascal, Chet.
And that is a stacked core. That is starting five. And think about it, the Thunder were supposed to be the worst team in the league 2 years ago.
I know.
And now 2 years later they could be running out this core. That would be
Pascal
first of all one of the best rebuilding jobs ever by Sam Presti.
Yeah.
And second of all, a team that could legitimately contend in the Western Conference right off the bat. Shea is a superstar and could be the best scoring guard in the league in a couple of years. He is incredible. Giddey is a great tall playmaking guard. Jalen Williams is a great 3-and-D guy who offers a lot more potential. Chet is a unicorn. We don't know what he's going to have, but he could be
He's going to be
for the rookie of the year. And then we know what Siakam could. Wow, that is. I like that trade.
Yeah,
I like that trade.
Probably my favorite trade that I cooked up. I think it's a really good fit. And like you said, if Toronto wants another first round pick or another pick, the Thunder have 50 picks, so they could just tack it on and say whatever. They don't need to fight Toronto on this. Go get Pascal Siakam.
The one issue I can see with that is similar to the one I said with the Lakers, perimeter shooting. In a perimeter-oriented league, you have Shea, who's primarily a slashing guard. Josh Giddey, obviously, most of these players are young. They can improve the three-point shot, but Josh Giddey isn't a known three-point shooter. Williams isn't elite from there yet. Chet's a big man. If he shoots 35%, that's going to be considered good. And Pascal isn't an elite shooting threat from the perimeter either. That's the one issue I can see.
They're all young,
but this team will be dominant in the paint.
They are all young.
So
I feel like
they have a lot of room to grow.
Yeah. And Shea,
especially if they can maintain that core for multiple years.
Amazing. Yeah. And all you have to do is sign a couple veterans who can shoot and add them to your bench. Maybe throw them in your starting rotation for half the regular season or something. I feel like it'd be worth getting a guy like Pascal on a play-in caliber team.
I like the trade a lot. That is a great trade.
Any more trades for you?
I got one more. I got James Harden. He's been the subject of a lot of trade rumors as well. And he's been linked to the Clippers. So I am going there for Terrence Mann, Nick Batum, and one first-round pick. Terrence Mann would be essentially the replacement for James Harden if Maxey can't carry the entire load by himself. But if he can, then Terrence Mann just becomes a great six-man.
Tyrese Maxey is... I think he's worthy of those minutes, and I do think he can carry the load 90% of what James Harden was doing. I just don't know if the playmaking is there for Tyrese.
I agree.
The scoring is obviously there, but he needs to work on his playmaking if he's going to be the James Harden of the Sixers for the future.
I'm getting Nick Batum, a solid 3-and-D veteran. A team can never have enough of those.
No.
and then just a first round pick, which would probably be a late first rounder from the Clippers.
Yeah, I think
And the
this.
Clippers are getting a great scoring and playmaking guard to pair with Paul George and Kawhi. And I think if that team stays healthy, they contend with Phoenix for the best big three in the league.
Yeah, well, that big three won't stay healthy. Spoiler alert, but they'll try their very best.
It's a big if.
Yeah,
A
it's a
very
big if. But James Harden will unlock the other two in a way I don't think we've seen them play before. So I think that's a trade that benefits both teams. The Nick Batum's interesting though because with a guy like Tobias Harris, they're basically the same player in many ways.
Okay, you are severely underrated Tobias Harris. You did this in the blind ranking on Thursday.
Yeah,
and
I
you're doing it
know.
again.
I'm not a Tobias Harris guy.
He's not an all-star, but he's levels above Nick Batum.
When you bring
Like,
Nick
all due respect to
Batum
Nick Batum.
off the bench for Tobias Harris, you just have a lesser version of Tobias Harris. That's all I'm saying. He doesn't bring you any differently than what Tobias Harris
but
brings
Tobias Harris
you.
is still better. He's still better.
I'm not saying he's not better. I'm just saying they have the same exact skill set. Like the identical skill set.
Tobias Harris is he's better in every single way than Batum. He can create his own shot, but I've never seen Batum do that.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying
You
that
are
they have the same
slandering
skill
Tobias
set.
Harris.
He's not good. He's not good. He's not good.
He's okay. He's also not 7 in the blind rankings either.
Yeah, but they're blind. I didn't know who was coming next. Just
Okay,
wait till later.
this-
Just wait till later when you put somebody lower than they should be.
This Tobias Harris slander is just too much.
I'm gonna buy a Tobias Harris
much.
jersey for you so you can wear it. Okay, I'm gonna buy you one so you can wear it.
I'm not a Sixers fan. I
But
won't wear it.
but
I'm
he's
not
so
a fan.
good. But he's so good. So just add it to
All
your
right, you know,
collection.
I will wear it.
Yeah,
I will
go
wear
ahead.
it.
Go ahead.
I'll wear it proudly. Tobias
Okay.
Harris will make the All-Star game this year.
After that little debate, that will lead us into our final segment of the day, which is some debate questions I looked up on ESPN.
Yeah, look at that. That was a great opening.
Shout out ESPN for these 10 debate questions. I just picked 3 that I thought were the most interesting, and we'll roll from here. Okay, first question. Which all-time great is the most underrated and why? Alex?
All right, for me, I have Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan's resume is arguably the best the league has ever seen. He's won MVP twice. He has 5 rings, 15-time All-Star, so his prime wasn't a short duration. He was dominant for a decade and a half. And he was also, and on top of all this, he was also one of the best, if not the best defensive player the league has ever seen. Tim Duncan was the epitome of Spurs culture. Him and Pop was the great duo, and they could win with anyone. They won with David Robinson, they won with Tony Parker, and Manu, and Kawhi Leonard. You could put anyone around Duncan, and he would make them better. And he's a team first player. He's not someone that's worried about his own stats. He's not someone that's going to complain if he doesn't get enough touches on the ball. He is a team first player, and I think he is a top 5 player in NBA history. And no one else puts him in that.
Well, he sure isn't in my top 5. He's not in my top 5.
I would put him as my 5th best player in NBA history.
Okay.
His resume is untouched, and I feel like if he just, because a lot of the players that we put above him, they put up great stats. If Tim Duncan was on a team by himself, I feel like he could match, if not exceed those stats. But he had a lot of other great players around him. Instead of selfishly worrying about his own stats, he was a team player. He shared the ball. He wasn't the main factor in offense, and he wasn't concerned about that. And that is the reason the Spurs had such a long-lasting and successful dynasty.
Okay. I don't agree with that. I think Tim Duncan's very underrated, but he is not who I went with. I went with a more current player. I know it's his all-time great, but he's on the 75 list, so he counts as all-time great. Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook, for his current state, is the most overhated player in the NBA. And people forget how good he was in his prime. He was the best player in the league, good. Best player in the league, good. In his prime.
I disagree with that strongly.
His MVP season, he was the best player in the league. He averaged a triple-double. Now, people may say because he was stat padding and all that crap. I don't care, okay? Sometimes the numbers don't lie. Russell Westbrook was spectacular. Now, he doesn't have the playoff success that Tim Duncan has, and I understand that. However, I believe that Russell Westbrook is a top 5 guard, maybe of all time. His skill set is ridiculously good. And
I strongly
he
disagree with
is
that.
one of the most underrated all-time greats just because of how much hate he gets for the last 3 years of his career. His stint in OKC is amazing. Amazing.
All right. I agree with you that Russell Westbrook is insanely overhated. Probably the most overhated player in the league. And yes, he was the best player in the league his MVP season. But we are looking at a singular season here where he was the best player in the league. Did he keep that up in the next years or the previous years? No. There was one singular season that he was the best player in the league. And that MVP was even debatable. Some people said James Harden deserved it. Some people said LeBron deserved it. That MVP wasn't a surefire, unanimous MVP. When I talk about a player's legacy, I'm looking at their career. I'm looking at how they did throughout their NBA career rather than how they were at their peak. My guy that I said, Tim Duncan, was a dominant force throughout his NBA career. Since he stepped on the foot as a rookie obviously when he was older, he wasn't as good, but 4 or 5 years before he retired, he was still a dominant force. That's what I look at when I think underrated. Russell Westbrook was not a dominant force throughout his NBA career. When he was young, he had to share the court with Kevin Durant and James Harden. So his stats obviously didn't look as good, but we saw he could be. He was a great player with the Thunder. When James Harden got traded and Kevin Durant ended up leaving in free agency, we saw what he could be. That triple-double MVP season, it is one of the greatest NBA regular seasons of all time. And I agree with you when I say fuck the stat padding. He was incredible. He was the reason the Thunder were competitive. Without him, they would have been the worst team in the NBA. But you look at the year after that, I don't think he made NBA first team or second team All-NBA.
Do you know why that? Do you know why that is? Do you know why that is? Because he's underrated. My definition of underrated.
No, because he regressed.
No, my definition of underrated is when people forget how good somebody is. They put him below people they shouldn't just because he's not bad now. But for Tim Duncan, was he ever the best player in the league at his time?
Yes, he's won MVP twice.
Okay, but was he the best player in the league? Like, you'd take Tim Duncan over LeBron James any season of his career.
I wouldn't hear that for Westbrook either.
Some people, I'm not saying for Westbrook either. That's what I'm saying, though. Tim Duncan is underrated. Russell Westbrook is underrated because they are top caliber players in the league while the rest of the NBA world is slandering them 24/7. I'm not saying Russell Westbrook's the best player of all time. I'm saying he's the most underrated.
Okay,
because people
where would he be on your all-time list?
I don't know. Top 30, 35 maybe?
I could get that for top 30.
I haven't really thought about it. He's not in the top 10. He's not in the top 20. After that, I don't really know. However,
I was scared you were putting him top 20.
Always put him below Steph, which I think he should be. Below Dame, I don't know. What's Dame done more than Russell Westbrook? Shoot more threes? That's about it. That's about it. But yet people think Damian Lillard is some second best guard in the league, unanimously. I'm not saying I disagree with that or agree with that, but Russell Westbrook in his prime was in that conversation as best player in the league. And people forget that. So that's where I'm coming from.
I can see that. I can agree with that. I thought for a second you were putting Russell Westbrook in your top 20 players of all time.
No,
and
I'm not saying he's better than some of the other guys you're mentioning. I'm just saying because of the stereotypes that are being placed with Westbrook in his later career, that makes him underrated for what he did in the first half of his career. That's all I'm saying.
All right. I agree with that.
Okay.
All right, so on to question number 2.
Next question. Which all-time great would you pay the most to see in person, not named Michael Jordan?
All right, not named Michael Jordan. I'm going to go with the other MJ, Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson led the Showtime Lakers, and that was really what popularized the NBA, got it going up, got it really consistent viewership. Because before then, it was really struggling. They had to split into the NBA. When the Showtime Lakers came in the league with Magic and Kareem, that changed everything. Magic Johnson was the first tall point guard ever. He was 6'9". He was listed as a point guard, but he could play anything. In his rookie season, he played center in the finals. and his team won that game. He's the first dual all player, and he's arguably one of the best passers in NBA history, if not the best. It sucks that his career was cut short, because I think Magic Johnson would be unbelievably ranked so much higher if his career wasn't cut short due to his HIV diagnosis.
I know this is supposed to be a debate question, but I also wrote down Magic Johnson as who I would want. So for the sake of debate, I'll change my answer, but I did have Magic Johnson as my answer to this question. I'll go with another Lakers great, the best center of all time, Shaquille O'Neal. Watching Shaq in person probably would have been like going to the movie theaters for an Avengers movie. Like, you would have been seeing somebody so different than everybody else, and he would just dominate. I would have loved to see Shaq in person, and I probably would pay a lot of money to see Shaq play basketball in his prime. But also, I had Magic Johnson, so yeah.
MJ would just have been awesome to see. I was too young to. I wasn't even a thought when MJ was playing basketball. But from what I've heard, from what I've read, obviously, it's just we missed out. We missed out on a generational talent whose career got cut short.
Also, being in LA, I feel like that would add to the atmosphere of getting to see a guy like Magic or a guy like Shaq. I feel like atmosphere would just make it even better.
Especially back then where it was impossible to be a superstar on a small market team.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to our final debate question of the podcast. What is the best individual performance that you have witnessed live, whether that be in the stadium or on TV? Go ahead.
All right. So here's where my bias might come in. I'm a Bucks fan. Giannis's 50-point performance in the finals. That was, as a Bucks fan, incredible to watch. We were down 2-0 against the Suns. I honestly thought the series was over. I was like, all right, it was a good run. And then Giannis just went full-on Super Saiyan mode. He dominated the next 4 games, and the Bucks went on to sweep the next 4 games and win it all. But his 50-point performance, it was just perfection. Perfect. And his one issue the entire playoffs was free throws. He missed a single free throw that game. He went like 17 of 18 or something like that from the line. It was awesome. It was so satisfying. It was. That
was one of the best finals performances I've ever seen. And going off of your bias, I also had a biased answer, being my favorite player, Steph Curry. I went with a regular season outing because I feel like people remember the postseason more than they do the regular season performances. So I went with his game against the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2016. The game that bang, bang, what a shot from Curry was created.
Iconic. That's all you got to say.
That game sticks in my brain so much. He got injured in the first half, went 12 of 16 from three-point range, including a 30-foot bomb for the win. I mean, they make commercials after that shot. And I got to watch that game.
That is what elevated
as it
Curry.
Happened. It was spectacular. It was an awesome game. Went to overtime. It was awesome.
That game elevated Curry from, star in the league to superstar, top 3 consensus player.
He won the MVP the year before, and then 2016 helped him win unanimous MVP. That game was a huge part of it. That game established himself as top 5 in the league easily. I mean, he's a special player, and they literally make commercials after that shot. Still, 7 years later, they have commercials about that shot.
I had another game I just wanted to talk about real quick. Just want to bring up Luka's 60-point, 20-rebound, 10-assist triple-double against the Knicks, where he capped off missing a free throw and putting it back in to send the game to overtime. And it was like a 15-point comeback by the Mavericks, too. That's also a performance I saw on TV, and that is something I'll never forget.
I did not watch that game live. I watched the highlights, but that was an amazing performance as well, for sure. And I also had an honorable mention going off the Warriors theme. The original Game 6 Clay game. Spectacular performance against the Thunder. Game 6, amazing performance. But I chose Steph's because it was regular season. I feel like more people remember the playoffs. But, yeah. Okay. This is, as Alex likes to say, crunch time on the podcast. We're reversing roles today, and it's Alex's turn for a 10-man blind ranking of NBA players currently
let's get it.
in the league. We're going off the same rules as Thursday. current value for this upcoming season. So not what they've done in previous years. Current value heading into the 2023-2024 season. Are you ready?
I am ready. Let's get it.
Okay, I'm going to write these down, but feel free to write them down yourself. Number 1, Mike Conley.
Mike Conley. We were actually discussing Mike Conley earlier in this podcast after receiving the richest deal in NBA history in 2016. Current Mike Conley. I'm gonna put him at 6. He's aging. He's not in his prime anymore, but he can still contribute to a team. He still is a very gritty player, great defensive guard. He's lost a step in his stroke on offense, but still feel like he can contribute to a winning team. Okay. I'm gonna put Mike Conley at 6.
Mike Conley at 6. Number 2, Zion Williamson.
Zion. We're assuming no injuries, right?
Yeah, no
so
injuries.
Zion's healthy.
Yes, correct.
Am I going to have a player better than Zion in this blind rankings? A healthy Zion. I'm going to say no. Put him at 1.
Wow.
Zion at 1.
That is absolutely unbelievable. Zion Williamson at number 1.
I don't think I'm going to get a better player in this blind rankings than a healthy Zion Williamson. When Zion was healthy with the Pelicans, they were the best team in the Western Conference. Without him, they didn't even make the playoffs. Zion is both the best and most valuable player on the Pelicans, and with him, they're championship contenders. Without him, they're a play-in team at best.
Okay, I don't disagree with that. Number 3, Kyle Anderson.
Slow-mo. All right, slow-mo's tough. Is he better or worse than Mike Conley right now? When I think of Kyle Anderson, I just think of the layup that he had in crunch time where he shot it over the backboard. And I can't get that out of my head. So I'm going to put him at 8.
Okay. Slow-mo at 8.
So that's what I think of when I hear Kyle Anderson. And I can't get that video out of my head now.
Could you imagine being in the NBA going for a buzzer beater and finger rolling it off the scoreboard, just off the shot clock, just a little finger roll, man.
I don't know how you ever show up to a game again after that. I don't know how you show your face in practice after that.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, number 4, DJ Augustine.
Is he even still in the league?
He is, according to this website, random NBA generator. Yes, he's still in the league.
Interesting.
No idea what team he plays for. 10?
I mean, he's going to 10. I remember him in the Bobcats in the early 2010s, the Bobcats before they were their Hornets, and he was a starting point guard on the team that went 7-59. Or was it Kemba? That may have been Kemba's rookie season. I'm really not sure.
Maybe it was one of them. They might have had both of them, honestly. I don't know. DJ Augustine is just an irrelevant player. Okay, let's move on. Number 5, Zion's teammate, Brandon Ingram.
All right, B.I. B.I. It's like the dollar store version of Kevin Durant. He great scorer, but he can't do anything else on the same level that Kevin Durant can do. I'm going to put B.I. at 3. He's an all-star player. I don't think I'm going to get many there's got to be a limit on the all-star players I get. Not every player is going to be an all-star. And B.I. is another player that contributes to a winning team.
Okay. B.I. at 3. Number 6, Jordan Clarkson.
Clarkson's a walking bucket. And I would say he's better than Mike Conley. I'm going to put Jordan Clarkson at 5.
5, okay. This is where it gets interesting. Alex currently has, with 4 players remaining, his 2, his 4, his 7, and his 9 slot remaining. So a little bit of everything.
I like the spacing.
I think Alex has played this a little bit better than I played the first one. But let's continue. Number 7, Austin Rivers.
All right. Would I rather have Slow-Mo or Austin Rivers? I'm gonna have to take Slow-Mo. Put Austin Rivers at 9.
Okay. Austin Rivers at 9.
Picking Slow-Mo over Austin Rivers.
Number 8, Jaylen McDaniels.
Okay.
He plays for Minnesota.
Great defender. Yeah, he's one of the best defenders in the league. I wasn't thinking of his brother, but I think it's Jaylen McDaniels.
His brother plays for the Hornets. This is the one that plays on the Timberwolves.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so he is one of the best defenders in the league.
Yep.
But his offensive game's still a work in progress. I don't feel confident putting him at 4. He's definitely not a 2, so that leaves him at going to 7.
Behind Jordan Clarkson and Mike Conley. Okay.
Yeah, I would rather have McDaniels and Conley, but I feel like that's the only misplacement so far. If that's the only one, I'll be very happy with
Okay,
that.
number 9, Derrick Rose.
Rose. Oh. He's going 4.
Okay.
He definitely isn't 2. Prime Derrick Rose would have been perfect for 2.
Yeah.
Current Derrick Rose, I guess, is 4.
Well, your number 10 is definitely better than prime Derrick Rose. Your number 2 slot is Aaron Gordon.
Could have been worse. That's better than Frank Ntilikina.
I will say your list is much better than mine was. Much better.
Let's read it off. Let's hear the final results.
All right, final results. Number 1, Zion Williamson, which I think you got accurate. I do think that was correct. Number 2, Aaron Gordon. Number 3, Brandon Ingram. Number 4, Derrick Rose. Number 5, Jordan Clarkson. Number 6, Mike Conley. Number 7, Jaden McDaniels. Number 8, Kyle Anderson. Number 9, Austin Rivers. And number 10, DJ Augustine. Solid list. Altogether, solid list.
I don't think that was terrible.
No, that wasn't terrible.
I wish I put BI at 2. I thought I get a better player. I thought I get a player between BI and Zion, but I didn't. BI should have been 2. Who do you think would be 3? Do you think Aaron Gordon would be 3?
I would personally take Clarkson, but it could go either way. It could go either way. I mean, who else is on the?
I would take Aaron Gordon over Clarkson.
You think so?
Aaron Gordon? Hell yeah, over Clarkson. Aaron Gordon almost made the All-Star game this year.
Jordan Clarkson's better offensively. Aaron Gordon's better defensively. So I mean, it's a toss-up.
The only thing Jordan Clarkson's better at is scoring. Aaron Gordon's better at everything else.
Okay, scoring's pretty important in the NBA, bro.
I mean, yeah, but Aaron Gordon could be a much better scorer if he didn't have to share the ball with Jamal Murray and Jokic.
Aaron Gordon is your perfect role player. Jordan Clarkson, I view a little bit better than that. I don't think Jordan Clarkson's a role player. That's just how I think.
I view him more as a spark plug 6-man off the bench, though.
Yeah.
That's how I view him.
Okay. I think it was good. The only pick you really messed up was Derrick Rose at 4, but there was nothing you could do. So, other than that, solid list. And, that has been all for episode 2 of the Hoopers Lounge. Thank you guys for listening.
I'll take that. I won the blind rankings this week.
Yeah,
it's a W, baby. What you like to see?
Alex takes the first blind ranking. That's okay. We'll be back. I promise that. And leave a like, subscribe, follow the socials in the description. And, we'll see you guys Thursday.
Peace. See you guys.
Peace.